Let's have, we'll begin a round of 5-minute questions. Governor Herbert, let's start with you. Over the weekend, the National Governors Association announced not only its national coalition to help with the implementation of the law, but state-by-state coalitions. How will that work?
Excuse me, I don't have instructions here. It's based on the common sense idea that together we can get things done, and separately we have some challenges with laws that are put together by state or federal law. It's too often that we get put in silos and don't work together. I know we have a culture in Utah of collaboration and cooperation. In fact, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce recognized us as the #1 enterprising state and said the reason for that was our ability to cooperate and collaborate in Utah better than any place they'd seen in America. That's the spirit we need to bring together, to bring these coalitions together, make sure that we realize the promise of the ESSA by making sure that all stakeholders are working together and pulling together.
Thank you, Governor Herbert. Ms. Weingarten, Ms. Pringle, let me ask you both a question. Each of you, as well as other witnesses, talked about time. What we have before us is a rare opportunity in federal education policy. I mean, we have a law that we would all agree is hard to do, hard to pass. And that means every state will need to submit a new plan within the next year or so for its Title I and Title II monies. And the likelihood that, given the difficulty of passing the law, plus I think the general feeling that the law is well-written and good policy, that plus the fact that these plans don't have to be amended unless there are major changes in them later, we actually may be headed toward a period where we have real stability in federal education policy, leaving states and classroom teachers and chief state school officers another chance not to worry so much about changes every 6 months in Washington. Now, one of the major changes has to do with teacher evaluation. You know from my background that I think, since I don't know how to pass a better parents' law, that finding a way to fairly reward outstanding teaching is the holy grail of public school education. And in Tennessee, we got involved with that early. But I did not believe when I got to Washington that we should tell everybody how to do it and make them do it from here. So we're going from a situation where race to the top and the conditional waivers had very prescribed mandates, not just to have teacher evaluation, but how to do it, to a situation where the secretary is actually prohibited from doing that. Now, what's going to happen with the objective of teacher evaluation? I mean, what are the teachers' unions going to do about the importance of finding fair ways to reward outstanding teaching? And how do you see the U.S. Department of Education's role? How has its role changed insofar as how states will go about that?
So we've actually given that a great deal of thought, so thank you for the question. I don't mean this to be in any way other than how I hope people take it. I'm a pretty simple kind of gal. I think about teacher evaluation, as does my leaders and members, in a very simple kind of way, which is, do I or do a cohort of educators have the tools and conditions to do their job? And then the second two questions: have you done your job? Have you taught the things that you have been asked to teach or that you believe is important to teach on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis? And then the third question is, have kids learned it? And if kids have not, then the questions are why. And so I say it that way because we need to get back to something that's very accessible to both teachers and to parents in terms of what is within a teacher's scope of responsibility and has she done that? And have you done that, and have we've done that on a school level and on a district level? And that's what the opportunity here is to reset. Now, so we often talk about moving from
My time is about up. I want to give
Sorry.
Pringle an opportunity. I mean, if you have anything.
It's moving from test and punish to support and improve. And I think that there's an opportunity to do that now throughout the country.
Ms. Pringle.
So Part of the beauty of this law is the requirement that we collaborate and that we not only listen to the voice of teachers, but we include them in decision-making. Teacher evaluation could not be a better example. So one of the challenges that we had with all of the mandates that you just described, Senator, is that the teacher evaluation systems were based, the premise of them, they were rooted in the test and punish. It was about getting rid of bad teachers or even rewarding good teachers, instead of actually being rooted in students and student learning and student improvement. That's a completely different paradigm to approach it. And so when we talk about teacher evaluation, of course we want to talk about indicators of teacher practice. So we want to talk about how we have an evaluation system that actually informs our teachers so they can improve their professional practice. We also need to talk about indicators of teacher contribution and growth, not only into their students, but into to the profession and to the school community, et cetera. And of course, we need to talk about indicators and contributions to student learning and student growth. But we've got to root it in the idea that evaluation is about improving professional practice so that all students can learn. That's a very, very different paradigm. And I will tell you that I know the AFT has done this as well, that we put together an accountability and evaluation task force that came up with recommendations on exactly how to do that and take a look at teacher evaluation from the perspective of the entire continuum, from pre-service all the way